what I've read so far is really good. Hello, UK Crime Book Club. Literally caught us in the middle of me flattering Charlie Gallagher about his book, The Friend, which I'm sure he's got to show off. Tell me you've got all your book covers ready. Brilliant. Hold it up a bit. You can actually see.
Hold it up.
Yay, there we go. So go on, introduce yourself properly and tell everyone who you are and about your books.
Thank you. Yes, my name's Charlie Gallagher. I've written 15. I've got 15 published crime novels. That's 3 series, two complete. Although I may go back to them at some point, but 2 complete series. One follows a detective by the name of George Elms, and the other by the name of Maddie Ives. Those are 2 separate series. And then the latest book, The Friend, that I just held up there, rather expertly so, is my first with Avon, HarperCollins, and is Joel Norris as the detective in that one. That's the first in what will be a new series of books, so very excited about that. I was, a bit about myself, I've been writing for maybe 20 years off and on, but seriously for the last 6 or 7. Published first in 2017, I think, by Joffrey Books. And the first 14 are with Joffrey. And now with Avon, with The Friend, I was a police officer for 13 years, I think, there or thereabouts. So a lot of that experience goes into writing the books. And I think there's quite a few police officers in the group that are now trying their hand at stories. So it does tend to lend itself well.
Yeah, we've got a good group going. We really have a good set of authors with some absolutely cracking books. We are very, very lucky in the group, and we know we are. Kaz is flattering you already. She said, did you start writing when you were 5?
5?
Because you look so young, I'm assuming.
Oh, really? Oh, well, there was me talking about lockdown hair and how I wish this was Monday.
You've got lockdown hair. I think it's fine.
It makes me look far older with my hair. I mean, this week on Thursday, actually, I wasn't going to say this, but I will. I turned 40, so it's all over. Yeah.
You can't say that. I'm not that far behind you.
Oh, well, you had to say behind, didn't you? Yeah. So Thursday.
Yeah, you're
so
definitely older than me, Charlie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, clearly. So yeah. So Thursday, 40. That's pretty much the prime of my life over, and it's all downhill from there. So what a way to start.
Me and you are going to very quickly fall out, my friend. I'm just getting my phone up to look who the comments are from. But let's go. So, right, I've not read George Elms yet. I love Maddie Ives. Love her.
Oh, thank you.
But you've just said that there's no more yet.
No, I think out of the 2, Maddie Ives is a series that I would revisit. I think there will be another Maddie book.
Good.
I have an idea which is probably more around Harry Blaker, who was her partner in crime. It's not the right word at all. Who was her her police officer colleague, and I think he will be the sort of the central character in that one. But I always sort of take one and put them in the centre, but they work it out together, so it's fine. But yes, I think there will be another Maddie book at some point.
Good. I will murder you to death until I get one, just so you know. Yeah. Donna says, hi, Sam. Hi again, Charlie.
Hello, Donna.
Steve's in California. Hi, Steve. Say hello to Steve, Charlie. We love Steve.
Steve in California. I'm a little bit jealous already. You know, I'm in sunny Folkestone, which I'm sure is just as lovely as California.
I'm in not so sunny Manchester. Is it sunny? No. Literally just looked out the window to see, but no. I've been sat at my desk with the curtain closed for half the afternoon, so no. Reading The Friend. So excellent. I think, as lovely as it is to talk to you, I want to go and read.
You want to tell you how it ends? We can skip out all that.
Literally hitting stop and delete right now. No. Catherine Taylor says, hello, Sam and Charlie.
Catherine Taylor.
Start counting backwards.
I think she's been very nice about the book, Catherine Taylor, recently on social media. So thank you, Catherine. I'm so glad, obviously, that you enjoyed it. And thanks for feeding back. It means a massive amount when when we hear nice things said.
That must be just amazing. Your first good review.
Yeah, not just the first. I mean, every good review you get is, I mean, it's incredible. It makes such a difference. And I wonder if people realise just how much, because writing is very much a confidence game, in my opinion. Certainly for me, some days you feel like a massive imposter and the words aren't coming, and you know, no matter what you do, it's just not working out. You think this is it, it's all over. And then you'll get a lovely comment, and actually it seems to make a big difference, and all of a sudden you're back at it, back motivated, and it seems to come easier. It makes a massive difference.
So you go from slumps to like strutting around your kitchen.
I wouldn't say strutting. It just helps a bit more creative. I strut all the time anyway. You know, it's just a natural walk for Southerners, I think.
No comment. Oh, I'm not setting the Southerners on me. No way. Joe Singleton says, "Good evening, all." Hi, Joe. And Catherine says, "Maddie and Harry are the best, Sam. Charlie, that makes me happy."
Well, that's lovely to hear. Maddie and Harry have had six outings, 6 books. So and everyone really loved George Elms. And when I said George Elms, the 7th book was the last, people were, I got some lovely abuse where people didn't want me to end that series. And now I get the same about Maddie. So I'm hoping that Joel and Lucy in the new series, the new books will be the same. The next book, you'll learn an awful lot more about them. So I'm hoping that people will come to love that series just as much. It's the reason why I love writing series so much, is that people get really involved with the characters, and they really love them. And you get lovely reviews saying it's like meeting old friends again. And it's the same for me writing them. So I'd never say never on finishing a series.
Good. I'm intrigued. Was that a text?
No, it was my watch telling me it's not sure it understands. I don't quite know. It's obviously listening in.
Well, the ridiculousness starts early. What can I say?
At least none of the clumsiness has started. I mean, you and I, before this interview, talked about who was more clumsy. I've moved everything away so nothing can fall over.
I'm guessing from the people that are watching who know me quite well at this point, they would say that I'm the clumsiest.
Well, I'm just move everything away, and I'm a little tired as well because I've clearly been working very hard all day. In case the wife's watching, so you know, I'm definitely more clumsy than you when I'm at this stage.
No, not having it. Leslie Lloyd says hello. Now, Leslie has absolutely raved and kept messaging me about the friend, and she's written reviews all over the place, and she just loved it. So I can't wait till I can message her probably tomorrow afternoon and say, where, you know, finished, and oh my word, and I can see something's coming, it's building. I just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, Leslie's been very lovely about it, and the previous one, actually, the last couple, she's been very, very supportive, and I think people listen when Leslie speaks as well. So it's lovely to have her on side, and yeah, she would email me as well and say, have you considered doing this? And of course, I pretend I have, and it's things like free book giveaways and other promotions, and I'm always like, yeah, I've definitely considered that. I haven't at all. She's in the wrong job if she's not something to do with book promotion already. She's very supportive, and I hope she received the book, by the way. I don't know if you can check with her, or if she can.
Well, she can hear
let you know if she
Leslie,
has.
Did you get the book?
Did you get the book?
Tell us. Yep, she can hear everything you're saying. I just keep looking at my phone to see who the comments are from, because on our screen, I don't know what device you're on, I can just see Facebook user, which is why I have to look at my phone to see Facebook.
All I can see is your good self and the fact that I'm live, so I can't see any comments coming in.
Are you on your mobile again?
Yes, like my webcam's
you won't see them.
not working.
Yeah, won't see them on there, but that's okay. I can see them. Kaz says, I thought it was going to be, it's quite a long thing, so I thought it was going to be a question for you, but no. You didn't need to look out the window to know it wasn't sunny in Manchester. It's normally raining when I get there. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest.
I had a very similar comment about Manchester and the north in general, but I thought I'd keep that to myself rather than offend, you know, most of the population.
All right, I can't kick you from here. We're good. Let's talk about the locations you've used in your books. Tell everyone where you've used and tell me why you've used them. Well, the first 2 series were based very much in and around Folkestone. The reason being, I'm a resident and I was a police officer in Kent and in this area quite a fair amount, but it's an area that I know very, very well. And there wasn't the time to go out and do too much
sort of research around locations because I had a very busy day job as a police officer. So the idea was with the friend and with Joel is that he is a centralised murder detective, which means he can go anywhere in the county. And the idea was that I would go out and research other areas, and it would be a bit more of a sprawling sort of series around the county. And then the whole world got locked down, and I wasn't allowed out of my own town. So the friend is based in a similar sort of area. It takes place a lot in Dover, which is a town I'm sure you're all aware of because of the White Cliffs and the very famous port, which is the next town over from me. It is. That part of Dover's lovely. And Folkestone and areas in sort of in southern Kent that I know well. So that didn't quite go to plan. So in the future, the books will be all over Kent. I think mainly sticking in this area because it's where I know.
And you've used Manchester. So where did that come from for Maddie?
Yeah, Manchester is somewhere I used to be. I don't know if I can say this. You might dislike me even more. I was a season ticket holder with the club up that way.
Which
so
one?
I went there quite. I'm not telling you or anyone. They play in red. Of course, because I'm a Southerner.
A United fan. You're quite all right with United.
Oh, good. Okay, fine. Well, yeah, that's where I am. So again, it was an area that I liked, and also Maddie was an undercover officer based from Kent initially. And what happens with undercover officers is they don't work their own area. So if you're a Kent officer picked out to be undercover, you would go to another county, and generally somewhere quite a distance. And Manchester was about right. So for her to come to Kent, it made sense to base her in Manchester to start with.
So you've been to Manchester for football, and that's where you went with? Yeah, it really was. Fair enough.
Because it wasn't too long in Manchester. I featured a hotel that I'd stayed in. Actually, that was for a gig. So yeah, I've been to Manchester for the entertainment side of things, but I haven't spent any extensive amount of time there. But again, I loved it. It's a nice city.
It is. It's gorgeous. It is. I know it can be dreary, but I quite like that. Yeah, each to their own. I'm not a big fan of the sun. Look how pale I am. Do I look like I go outside, really?
I like a city break, whereas you get these people that like sitting on beaches in the sun. I like a city break, so they can be as dreary as they like, can't they? When you're, in coffee shops or whatever.
Yeah, I quite happily go to a beach when it's not sunny. Caroline's making a comment about. Do you know what? It scrolled that quickly that I've lost the comments. Let me see. Oh, she was taking the mickey out of me for I can topple the books even when they aren't precariously balanced.
That's how clumsy you are. Again, you still lose, I'm sure, if we was to have a clumsy off. I've had to move everything away, like I said, so,
I don't know. I said to you the other day, I'm more bruised than woman most of the time. I'm constantly walking into things. You wouldn't think I would. So, like, I'm 5 foot, I'm really short. So I'm constantly walking into, like, tables at the wrong height and all of that kind of stuff. And door handles get me on the back of the arm, on the soft bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But the best one is, why am I still talking? Oh, my word. The best one is when I bang my head on things because I don't expect it, because I'm always too short. Then that I really whack myself.
Are you an angry person when you're hurt? Because my wife accused me of that. Because I feel so stupid, if I bump into something, I get really angry with myself.
No, I just laugh and draw more attention to myself.
Oh, it means I'm angry a lot. Yeah, the same to you. Very, very clumsy. Bump into things.
What do you bump into the most? And then we'll go back to books.
There's in my garage. As I walk in, this is very boring and nothing about books, but you've asked me now. There's a unit on the left-hand side, and it hides in the shadows, and it's got, I swear it sticks its leg out, metal leg, every time I go in there. So that's my thing. My shin is basically, covered in that
bruise.
Thing's imprints. Yeah.
That makes me feel better, and now we can go back to books. I don't feel like I'm quite as foolish now. Donna says I've not taken Peter's book stamp. So I interviewed Peter Boone a few days ago. I don't know what day I'm on at the moment. I don't know what day I interviewed him because I can't keep up now. It's the summer school holidays again. Don't know what day it is, but yeah, we have 2 books, one here, and my mum returned the one that she borrowed, and that's here. So Peterboo and Cozy Crime, there you go, there's a plug. But we'll go back to, and the Great as well, we'll go back to your books now. But yeah, Donna said I've been too busy, Leslie said I've been too busy reading The Friend. Haven't really thought about this because I'm reading you on Kindle. Not thought to change the shelf behind me.
That's okay. I can hold it up if I need to. It's fine.
Go
Everyone knows. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Where's the camera? There it is.
So talk to me about your covers.
The covers, yeah. I mean, I'm not too sure if this is the same for all of us, but I don't have too much say in covers or titles, in fact. And 15 books in now, I've given up with titles. For the first 10 or 12, I'd send off a title, my working title, as I always had. And my reasons why that was the title for me and why it was right, and ideas around the cover and everything. And I got ignored every time because people that run publishers and work in marketing know their stuff. And I can write a story, I'd hope, but that's not my thing. So now, if I'm just about to send off the second Joel Norris book, and it's called Joel 2. I don't even
not
bother
losing any sleep over titles.
No, I'm really not, because I guess I'm used to being ignored. Yeah, I mean, we'll have a conversation, but so the cover's the same. The cover isn't. I don't have too much influence over it, but I do get to see it quite early, and we get to talk about whether I like it or not. And generally, they do a cracking job. I can't argue. And The Friend is, I think, is a lovely example. I'm very biased, but I love it. It's great.
But you're only biased because you know it's good. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't be as complimentary about it, or you would, but it might be a bit more of a fixed smile rather than the beaming one that shows how much you like it.
Yeah, but you get to learn again how important the cover is. It's massive. I mean, that sounds like an obvious statement, but actually, I think when you first start out, you have this opinion that you write the best possible story you can, and the better stories sell more books. That's not the case at all. Not always. And it can be that the cover is the thing that makes something a success or otherwise. Not saying that the cover is the most important, but it's certainly amongst it.
Yeah, it's definitely in the mix. Joe Singleton wants to know what your funniest or scariest, Joe, or scariest 1-star review is. Never heard of a scary 1-star review. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, 1-star reviews, blimey.
They're quite popular on Twitter, aren't they? People sharing the ridiculous 1-star reviews. There was one, Will Dean shared one. It keeps making me chuckle every once in a while. About a week ago, I think it was. He shared one that was basically a raving review, but with 1 star.
I've had, yeah, absolutely. Which is fine, because people, when they want to buy a book, they flick to the 1-star reviews, or when they're looking at a book, they'll flick to them. I mean, the ones I always love are about how this author's must be sick in the head. I think brilliant. That's just sold another 50 books. Love that. 1 star. The best 1-star review was early. It was one of the first few books, and it was it just said 1 star, arrived upside down. I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't know what that means. Does that mean that they were holding it upside down when it came out of the package? Their Kindle?
I'm seeing a van, like a, I won't name any of the delivery services, but upside down and like slamming down the street upside down and just throwing the book. Maybe the van was upside down and not the book.
I had a vision of someone holding their Kindle wrong and having the up with me about it. That was the impression I got. Arrived upside down. I've no idea what that means.
I don't know what to do with that.
No, I didn't, but that stands out. That was fantastic.
I would imagine, that'll be the story that I tell from here on in. Never mind Will Dean, Charlie Gallagher. Arrived upside down.
I mean, maybe it did, and if anyone's watching and has received a book of mine that has arrived upside down, I would like to offer my sincerest apologies at this time. It's not my fault, though. I don't write them upside down.
Okay, I need to pull myself together. Kaz wants to know, do you keep a character Bible of details about your characters?
Yes. I mean, I don't call it a Bible. It's I write notes every side along aside every book, and if it's a series, which generally they are, I just extend those notes as I go through. And the first description I ever write of a character, I keep that in the notes as well. So if I have to go back to them, then I know what they look like. So that's consistent.
I can see that somebody's commented. Joe's saying Sam's lost the plot. Look, I've pulled it back together, Joe, professional. And I'm guessing it's Donna that said mine was upside down, but we'll and somebody said, can you send me an upside down signed copy, please? I'm not at the bottom yet, so let's see.
I'm confused. Upside down signed copy. I'm confused as to what bit needs to be upside down there. Am I signing it upside down?
Interesting. Let's see if I can fit. Yep, Donna. I was right. It was Donna that said hers was upside down. And Selena Lucas. Hi, Selena. Can you send me an upside down signed copy, please? So, Selena, which bit do you want upside down? Let us know.
Yeah. Be specific about that, because I'm not getting another 1-star review because I set it the wrong way up. I can get the wrong way up.
Daniel McBreakneck says hello from Dan. Hi.
Hello, Daniel.
And we have very similar taste in books, me and Dan. So I know he's a fan of yours as well.
Yeah, he's been very lovely about the friend, actually. So thank you for that. Much appreciated.
Phil Jordan says, hi, sunny in Belfast, sorry. Have you any particular scenes that you've written stick out for you? And have any of your characters gone off on a tangent you hadn't expected?
Oh, goodness, all the time. I mean, the first part of that question, I think it's even chapter 14. I can remember that. It was a chapter in He Will Get You, where a serial killer, without ruining the plot, basically he likes to murder people, as serial killers generally do. But his thing is enjoying seeing the reaction that he gets from leaving his victim. And I'm pretty sure it was chapter 14.
I really need to not laugh at things when you say things that are quite dark, and I'm still sat here in stitches. Carry on.
Yeah, when I'm talking about serial killers, I mean, I'm sure some of them are funny, but generally not.
No.
But yeah, this fella gets off on seeing the reaction of when people discover his victims, and it was the second one, and I just loved it. And when you get to the end, sometimes clearly you write a million drafts, but there are very, very occasionally a scene you write and you look at it and you think, I can't really improve on that. It just went right. And the fact that I can remember one chapter out of 15 books tells you how often that happens. But yeah, I love that scene. I mean, is there anything else that stands out? I don't think so, really. I mean, I tend to struggle. I don't know if this is a thing with everyone, but when you finish the book and then you move on to the next one, you kind of forget everything about that one that you've just finished. I think you kind of have to be able to move on.
Yeah, lots of authors say that.
Yeah, it's interesting. What was the second part of the question?
Have any of your characters gone off on a tangent you hadn't expected?
Yes, one died. That was entirely true. There was a scene in Blood Money where a fellow who was acting as a courier was tied to a chair and being tortured for information. Standard crime thriller
as
stuff.
One does,
and
that's how I find out something.
Well, quite. Absolutely. I mean, it seems to be quite effective. He was going to be a very key part of the book moving on, and it got to the point where I realised he couldn't survive. It wouldn't be possible, or it wouldn't be plausible. So he died, and then I had, I think, about a week or two of walking the dog trying to work out where I was going to go next. It completely stumped me. So yeah, it happens all the time. I'm not someone who plans books before I write them too extensively. I have a general sense of direction, a central scene, and then I just work towards that sort of concept that I've got. So I never know how it's going to end, which is one reason why I enjoy it so much, I think. But yeah, they always go off on tangents, as do I. Yeah,
me and all. Thanks, Carl. Sam gets my vote for clumsiness. Joe is that pile of books behind you, Sam, is about to topple over. Risky when Sam is about as well. She can topple over even when they aren't precariously balanced. Come on, back to the books. Also, Selena had asked, if you're doing a series, do you have to plan them all in advance, or what do you do? So we know that you don't plan a lot, but do you know what the next book is going to be when you're working on the previous one?
Yeah. Again, I'll have an idea of a concept. And the thing about writing a series is that you only have to have an outline of an idea, even a concept, a central scene. And because you're writing a series and you've got to know your characters, you can use them to sort of drive you towards that. The Friend was actually a very, very difficult book for me to write because it was the first one in a new series. The second one has been so much easier because I know the characters. So although I don't plan the next book when I'm writing the one before, if that makes sense. I have a general sense of direction with the characters, and that kind of goes through the series.
So when you were writing the previous two series, did you know roughly where you thought you might cut it off before moving on to the next series? Did you know where you might draw it to a halt?
Yeah, I think George was the first series, and he started as a happy family man. His wife was expecting
Don't
a
spoil
second child.
anything for me because I've not read any of them yet, and killing me.
Well, I can be vague. So the wife was expecting their second child, and he was very much in love with the job and all of these things. And then throughout the books, the 7 books, his relationship suffers because of his addiction to his work. The things he sees at work have an impact on him, which he takes home, and he becomes split up with his wife, and is not quite so happy with the job, etc. And then by the end of the last book, that he's back more sort of where he was to start with. He's back as a happy family man, back with his wife, and it felt like a full circle, like a sort of a character arc. So at that point, it felt right to stop it. I'm not saying I'll never go back, but certainly there was a story that went full circle with George. With Maddie and Harry, I wrote 6 books in a row, as I do with the series. I tend to write them in a row, and I got to the point where I wanted a break. The Deadly Houses was the last one, and of all the books, actually, that you get to a point where you finish a book, and you feel kind of hollowed out. I think certainly the ones where there's quite a bit of emotion attached to them, without sounding pretentious, I can't help it. So I got to the end of that one and needed a break, which is why I started the new series then with The Friend. And that's when I say I think I might go back to that at some point.
What was the idea behind changing the titles from everything being he, everything was a he, until it changed with the final book?
Again, with titles, those are not titles that I chose from the off.
Was there a specific decision, though, as to why to change tack with it?
No, I don't think there was. I was never... But funnily enough, when we sat down and had a conversation about writing a series, there were some authors that were doing a pattern in their titles, and I said from the off that I didn't want to do that. But I was talked round, and I think it's now absolutely the right thing to do. The last one, I think, was different to the rest, if that makes sense. I think maybe that's why they broke cover with the titles. And also, by that time, I had a good following for that series, so we could just call it Maddie 6, or the next Maddie Eyes book, and people knew what that meant. So the titles, I don't think they were as important at that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I did wonder that. But even that in itself is enough to have a bit of a conversation between people, which is a bit more word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you want. You want people talking about them and coming to me and asking me questions as well, so then I can, interact with them, and that's how you keep readers. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. Donna said she nags me, lol. Like, I've completely lost where we're up to at that point, Donna. That was a while ago. And Leslie Lloyd said not yet. So, I wonder if that was in relation to wondering about her work at the moment. So we'll see. Helen Durant says, "Hi Charlie, how are you liking writing full time and hands off Manchester?" Hi Helen.
Helen Durant is a Joffrey author and a fantastic author as well. I'm sure everyone in your club already knows of her work anyway, but she's superb and very lovely. I've met Helen a couple of times. We went to Bristol Crime Fest together along with Joy and Janice, Joy Ellis and Janice Frost. I forgot the whole Manchester link with Helen. She will be most unimpressed. In regards to writing full time, it's fantastic. It's always been the dream for me, and it's lived up to it. I was worried about some elements of it, about changing sort of my relationship with writing, whereas before it was a hobby I did when I kind of forced the time, but I'd sit down for an hour, and because I knew I only had an hour, I would be, absolutely focused, and I was worried that focus might go, but it really hasn't. It's given me more time to really focus on the work. So yeah, I'm loving it. Thank you, Helen.
Helen says, I had to scroll just to check, but yeah, I love you too, Charlie. So there you go. But she's not saying this, Helen's not saying this, but I wonder, there might be a character called Charlie that gets killed off for trying to take over the Manchester turf.
Yeah, I can see that. And she's very imaginative with her killings as well, so goodness knows what will happen. It won't be pleasant.
I look forward to reading it. Steve says, have to say, Charlie, really enjoyed The Friend and will be following your books. Now, I think I'm right in saying, so Steve, as I said, is in California. I think I'm right in saying that Leslie recommended The Friend to Steve.
Right.
I think so. But as I said, Leslie's really vocal about it.
She is. I really appreciate that. And thank you to Steve as well. It's lovely to hear positive words about it, obviously. But yeah, Leslie's been spreading the word. But I've got people that have sort of been with me from the start, and they can be based in Australia. There's a young lady called Megan who speaks to me a lot, Megan Barstow, and I think she'll either be watching this now or it's 3 in the morning and she'll watch it later. So I should say hello to Megan.
Megan is the lady that's just joined the group so that she could watch the interview.
Really? Oh, well, there you are. Goodness knows what time it is. If it is Megan from I think Tasmania, actually, then let us know what time it is, because I'm interested. Yeah, so I get people from Australia and America and Canada, and it blows your mind really to think that you sit down at your dining room table when I first started making stuff up, and it can have an impact enough that people in other parts of the world are reading it. And people send me pictures of them on a beach just to make me jealous, I think, but reading the book as well, and far-flung places. It's an incredible thing, and I genuinely hope that that it carries on and never stops.
Right. Catherine Taylor says, apologies for this long one. So, Charlie, you have previously said that Vince was based on a former colleague, and I imagine that elements of other characters are also taken from former colleagues and villains, I guess. Is there an element of D.I. Norris taken from your own experience of being a parent/family man? I ask because it resonated when Joel says he has 2 young daughters who will be older one day, and you can't protect them from everything in the world, as I have 4 kids. It was spoken from the heart of a parent, as I thought.
Yes, that line absolutely was. I'm terrified of my girl. I've got 2 girls, 7 and 9, which I think are the same age as Joel, actually. I've just realised that. So that clearly was subconsciously based on me. And yeah, I'm terrified of them getting older and all the things that come with that. And I think when you work as a police officer, as I did for a long time, you get to see the world at its very worst. And you realise that you can't always protect people from that. And as a parent, there's no greater fear. So yeah, absolutely, that came from me. And in relation to Joel Norris, he's kind of based on a number of people, as most of them are. But I am very comfortable with his background because it's similar to mine. He is an ex-TSG sergeant and was for some time. TSG is Tactical Support Group or TAC team. Every county calls it something different, every force. And I was part of a tactical support group for 8 years, probably the best time I had in the police. It was wonderful. And moving over to the detective role, and what people who haven't done the job might not understand is how different the roles are. When you're on a tactical support group, or when you're a response officer, or when you're a detective, those jobs are night and day. It's massive difference. And then you've got firearms and dog handlers and other roles, counter-terrorism. And they're not just different departments. People think of a police officer as being an overarching thing, but the specialism required for those different roles, it's massively different. So Joel in The Friend is a TSG sergeant, moved to be an investigating officer, investigating murder as an inspector, and he's massively out of his depth, and hopefully I've got that across. And I think he is kind of based on me in some way, because I moved from the TSG to be a detective, and I was incredibly out of my depth. It was the hardest jump I've ever made, including from a civvy job before to the police. Once you're in the police, you think that it will be similar, but the jump from TSG to detective was incredibly difficult. So yeah, I think he's made up of bits of me. I think I've given him a 6-pack, so that's
Totally
me
accurate.
wishing.
Yeah.
No, not at all. That's me kind of wishing. But yeah, I think that, and certainly the parent stuff is absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not asking, but I can't imagine how difficult it is to separate work from home when you're a parent as well. But I won't ask about that. We'll just move on. Kaz, again, you can tell you haven't spent much time in Manchester. You think it's lovely. Mate, you should have come to Leeds. Behave, Caroline Maston. TG says evening to both of us. Hello, T. We love T. She writes as TK Gearing. She's one of our admins. For anyone who, I reckon everybody here must know that. Oh, right, going on to clumsiness. Kaz's husband, scared of ceiling fans and the tops of doors, low walls, etc. But he is uber tall. He's really tall.
Yes, I sometimes get called. I'm 6'2", so that's tall enough for some ceiling fans. Some low-flying aircraft. If you ask some of my mates, used to take the mickey out of me.
Yeah. You've had all the tall jokes. I've had all the short jokes. Yeah. I like it when people impress me with something new, but yeah. It's like being a barmaid. When I used to be a barmaid, it was all, can I have a Carling, please, darling? And they're really, really pleased with the rhyme. And you laugh because, you want tips. So Donna says, I'd take it personally, Charlie. That's what Sam's really like, lol. Again, I've lost the thread of the comments are going by so fast. I've no idea. She likes to take the mickey out of me, though. And I can take it. She knows. T wants to know who your favourite character is in your books. That is a good one.
It's very good. There's a fella called Vince who backs up Maddie and Harry. He's a uniform officer, and I think I described him in one of the scenes as a big sloppery Labrador. And I think that's probably one of the best descriptions I've done. I loved it at the time, and I love it now, and I love him. And he was based on a ex-SAS Marine type fella that I worked with. I think he was a Royal Marine, actually. A stocky little fella who was a copper and was one of the best coppers I've ever worked with. He struggled with some of the the test and the academic element of policing, but you want him by your side in any given situation. He was superb, and he had a massive heart, and he thought he had to look after everybody, and he took it personally if someone got assaulted on duty and he was on a rest day. Wonderful fella. And he very much is Vince. Became Vince, so I think I'd pick him. I mean, I like a lot of the characters. I like some of the evil ones, which I think reflects on me. But Vince comes to mind as my favourite, alongside probably Harry.
Vince is based on No,
I don't think he does. I don't think I've ever told him that, actually. You don't take the mickey out of me. He's one of these blokes that a typical ex-Royal Marine. He doesn't do feelings or emotions. He wouldn't be happy about it. He'd probably just punch me on the arm. That's kind of
maybe keep that to yourself then. Better than a punch on the nose.
Yeah. Lovely fella, and generally one of the best coppers I've ever worked with.
It'd probably be people like that are generally quite squishy on the inside, so maybe he'd be secretly touched but still punch you.
Well, that's exactly it, and that's kind of what Vince is. I mean, he's like I said, he's a big, well set fella who everything's a joke and nothing affects him, but actually it really does. And I think that's why he's kind of my favourite, because everyone knows that, but you can't take them.
Alison Willis, hi Alison, says, not a lover of covers myself, more the title.
Oh, that's interesting. I would agree. I think the title, I mean, both elements are very important, but there does seem to be a real pattern with both. I mean, I've got the young lady in a red jumper on mine and a red jacket looking away. It seems to be quite commonplace, and I guess that's because it's effective. And it's a little frustration. Sometimes you'll see chat in a group such as yours, and they'll say that it's another one with a red jumper or a red coat, and it puts them off, which is a bit of a shame, because the author doesn't have, in my case, too much sway over that.
There must be far more people that it doesn't put off, though, because people are selling books, which is good.
Absolutely right. And I have to say, The Friend wasn't my idea, but I love it. It's so fitting because it's a little bit sinister in the tone that they presented it on the book, and I think that's absolutely perfect for the content. So I'm delighted.
Good, and you should be. Donna's was upside down. Joe's saying that Sam has lost the plot. We're back to Selena asking for an upside down copy. Joe's asking, do you carry out your own research, or do you have a black book of experts that you can refer to? Is some of it still, do you have to check your own memories now to check that they are still accurate? You know, that they're still up to date?
Yes. I mean, I'm 18 months out, and 18 months out of a job like that, which is incredibly fast moving, is a long time. I have, obviously, I've still got a lot of friends who do that job, and I can call on them and text them at any time, and they're fantastic to me. In the acknowledgements, there's a young lady called Charlie who is a senior CSI who picks up the phone, and I used to just turn up at her office, and I wouldn't say anything. She'd just sort of roll her eyes and say, "Here to talk about death again, are you? I'll put the kettle on." And it's brilliant, because I would then sit down and I would talk about what a body looks like after 2 weeks decomposition or whatever I need to know. And you get real authenticity, because it's little things like we were talking about rigor mortis on one occasion. I need to know how long it takes to set in, all this sort of, and the textbooks will tell you one thing, Google will tell you one thing, and it's pretty accurate, but what it won't necessarily tell you is the experience. So the fact that the position you find the body in has a massive impact as to where rigor mortis starts, the temperature, whether it's inside, outside, that sort of thing, all has a massive impact. And again, you can find it if you look deep enough into a textbook, but if you're talking to someone CSI, you get all that you need within 5-10 minutes and a cup of tea. So
plus all the detail, like you say, that you're not going to get if you need to talk through a specific scene, you're not necessarily going to find that exact situation in a textbook.
No, not at all. And a lot of the scenes, the inspiration comes from things I've seen, and I think, I don't know if that gives an advantage or not, but it certainly gives authenticity. I was on a search team, the TSG I mentioned, the first people they call in relation to murder searches, and I've found murder victims, and I found them when decomposition set in. I found them when it's only just occurred. There was a scene where a fellow was beaten. Sorry to darken the tone. This is a crime series, that's fine.
It's all right. I make an effort to lighten the tone after a dark moment, so we're all good.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, there was a fellow in the books who was beaten to death with a baseball bat, and these are things that I've kind of seen in real life, which means, and also when delivering death messages as well is something I've done a number of times. So when you turn up to the family members and you tell them the terrible news, that reaction is something that you can't get from textbooks, and it's not something you ever want to experience. But now I can sort of thread that into the stories and add a bit of authenticity, and you can use that reaction hopefully to make the reader want the people to catch the person responsible more. So
and when it's done in such a sensitive way as well, it's nice to know that is how it would be done in real life, with such respect, no matter who the victim is. You know, it's nice to know that it is done in a certain way, and it's really lovely how that does come across in a book, because you don't want it to be something that you just glide over. It's important.
It is. I have to say, I'm biased. Police officers are incredible people. I know they get bad press all the time, and it's a very easy, cheap shot, and they've clearly had very bad press recently. Yeah. But the vast majority of police officers are wonderful people, and they do an incredibly difficult job. Again, the books you'll find from me, maybe the bias coming through, you will get the human side to police officers, and you will see that when they deliver a message like that it has a massive impact on them, and they take a little bit of that sadness away with them. Yeah. And over the course of a career, it builds up. It's inevitable, and you'll see people like Vince, even that. There are some things you go to and it breaks your heart, absolutely breaks your heart, and there's no two ways about it, and you end up a mess of snot and tears along with the victim, and that's okay. But people don't see that side of policing, so I do try and bring that in, and you'll find my police characters generally, they go through the mill because I think readers want to see that to an extent, but they're proper human as part of it, if you know what I mean.
And I do think you do it beautifully. But we'll pick it up again. I'm sure somebody has definitely lightening the mood here. Kaz had said you should write upside down or reply to the review saying you wrote it in Australia and it was really the right way up. If that isn't a dad joke, Kaz, I don't know what is.
Yeah, we need a ba-boom tish there, don't we? That's a very good idea, though. I think that'll be my standard response now.
As it should be. Joe wants to know, is your favourite book to write always the last book you have written? That is another good question.
It's a fantastic question. And yes, I think that's absolutely right because, well, no, actually, the last one you've written generally is the one you hate the most because I've just read it 10 times. But yeah, I think that's absolutely true. Someone once asked me what my favourite book was that I've written, and I think they regretted it quite quickly because I ended up listing every single one and the reasons why they were special to me. So it's an impossible choice really. But the one that excites me the most is absolutely the last one. I've finished all the one I'm working on.
Well, we've only got just over 10 minutes left, but if we start flagging and run out of things to say, I will ask you about every book and what you liked about it.
They're all very special. For very many reasons. Yeah, so that'll take longer than 10 minutes.
He also says, you've been very prolific in writing books. Which one would you say gives the best idea of your writing? And where would you recommend a new reader start with your books? Have to start at the beginning.
Fantastic question. He is Watching You was the first Maddie Ives book, and it kind of fell out my face.
It's the first one I read, actually. He is Watching You.
Oh, really? Okay, yes, that's the first one, the Maddie Ives series, and
it's bloody brilliant. Can I say bloody on camera? But it's bloody brilliant.
That kind of fell out my face, and by that I mean it was one draft, nothing cut, which is really unusual. The last one, like 30,000 words cut from it. It just kind of flowed. So some are more prolific than others, is what I'm trying to say. Some are easier than others, and that's really unusual for the first in the series as well. And I think that's a pretty good description, a pretty good way of looking at my style. I like to give different points of view. I like you to see a bit from the victim as well as from the people looking for the perpetrator, and also a bit from the offender, which that book's got all three of them.
Yeah.
The Deadly House is the same, and the Friend actually has the same. I think that's pretty standard of my style. I mean, they're all in my style, so I can't help that, unfortunately, for some. But yeah, I think He Is Watching You and the latest one, The Friend, as well. A pretty good way to assess how I write.
Selena's saying she feels excited to try your books now, and her TBR file is growing. So yeah, 15. Get reading, Selena.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you don't need to read them; just buy them. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's not true.
Use them as a bedside table. Put lamps on them. Be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Or wobbly tables, Yeah, I'm good for wobbly tables. I can really help there. No, thank you very much. And I hope you do try them out. And the TBR pile. I mean, this group is responsible for growing mine by. Oh, it's crazy. I wish I'd never joined. That's not true.
Lies. You love it. There's so many more questions. I honestly thought we were nearly done with questions. There's loads.
Good.
And Megan Barstow's just sent me a friend request. Hi, Megan.
Oh, bless her.
I know. I'll accept that once we're done, Megan. Right. Donna's got into one of my questions I wanted to ask you. How's the kids' book coming along? Have you done any more yet? Tell us about the aliens.
Yes, I've done some more on the kids' book. I don't know when it's going to be finished because I'm now well into editing the next Joel Norris #2 and writing #3. But I think I said to Donna before when I spoke to her, it's a strange one. You'll have some mornings where you write some heavy scenes and some quite emotional stuff, and that hollowed out feeling I talked about, you can get that halfway through the day. So I'll swap, and then I'll spend the afternoon on the kids' book writing about flatulent aliens hidden in pigeon suits. And it just seems
Leslie
to be...
that told me about that as well. Flatulent aliens.
Right. Yeah, it just seems to be a bit of an antidote, a bit of yin and yang, I think. And it works really well for me. I really enjoy it. And it started with my eldest in lockdown. We were looking for something productive to do as part of homeschooling that wasn't just the work they sent us. So she came up with the idea of a farting alien. She has to take that that compliment there. And we're sort of filling a story around it, and I'm really enjoying it. It's half done is the answer. 35,000 words, I think, about half done.
I love that. I love that it started with your daughter. That's brilliant.
Yeah, clearly that would be very special if we ever got to the stage where that was published. I'll self-publish it if no one picks it up. That's for sure. It will appear in some sort of format.
And I will buy copies for my children, even the 18-year-old. I will buy them signed copies, because how can they not read that? I think I've put them off books. It's a really worrying situation. All I talk about is books and crime.
But when I was 18, I was writing when I was 18, but I didn't think I would be.
Tanya Jane Giles has asked, did you draw on any of your life experiences before writing to include in your books? So we know that you've woven in a bit from experience with the police. Obviously, your own version of different things. But anything from outside of the police?
Yeah, the Helen Webb is a reoccurring villain, for a better word, in the first 3 or 4 George Elms books, and she's based on an old boss of mine when I used to work for an insurance company. I won't say who, because clearly I'm not too kind about her in the books, because she's a villain.
See, I haven't read it yet, but I'll let you know once I do. I'm intrigued.
I ended up really liking her as a character. I thought she was fantastic. Even if I do say so myself, I don't want to pick myself up too much.
No, that's fine. I enjoyed
her as a character. What I mean, I enjoyed writing her. So terrible boss, but wonderful villain.
I've just spotted a comment come up from Kaz. This might be one of my favourite interviews so far. One of mine as well.
Oh, really?
I feel like I've done nothing but laugh for nearly an hour.
I tend to do this because I'm supposed to be very professional and talking about the books. I'm not particularly good at that. I'm terrified. I've got an event coming up with Avon where myself and a few other of the authors are going to be talking about our books live on their website, I think, and I don't quite know how I'm going to fit in, because I'll be the one making silly jokes and talking about farting aliens when I should really be concentrating on the crime thriller. But
to be fair, I'm going to take some of the glory of this myself with Glorious Charlie, by the way.
Absolutely.
What a Twitter handle. I think I've done very well. It's like herding cats, getting you to talk about books, and I think people should hire me to do it.
I did warn you that. I did warn you that would be a problem. It's not that I don't like talking about them. I love it. It's just I've got a very short attention span and I'm off.
I think we've done well. I think we've done very well. Selena has asked, so you're no longer in the police force. So you left about 18 months ago.
Yes.
How long did the process of leaving take? When did you make the decision that, did you always know you were eventually going to leave and write full time if you could, or did you just hit a point and just thought, I'm done here now, let's move on and try this?
Well, it was a huge decision. I mean, being a police officer is more than a job. If I can call it, if I can say a cliche, it's a kind of way of life and a massive thing to walk away from.
Mm.
But writing full time has always been a dream of mine, and the opportunity kind of came up. It got to the point where I was writing. I had an hour or 2 a day to try and fit in some work, and I was able to carry on with the stories, but I couldn't do the social media things and go to literary festivals and things like that. So it got to the point where it was either go for the writing with everything I've got, or carry on like that. And I made the choice. I think I'd have always regretted it if I hadn't gone for the writing career, because it is my dream, and it remains very much a dream. And I feel very, very privileged to be able to do it full time. The last 18 months have been fantastic, and my only aim really is to be able to carry on doing it full time. That's it for now. But it was a huge decision. And I remember walking away from Folkestone Police Station on the last day when I handed in my badge and everything else, and being massively excited and absolutely terrified at the same time. It was a very strange feeling.
I feel like there's just been a collective internal cheer from me and everybody else at how happy you are, at how well it's going for you. I feel like I can hear everybody like whooping.
And this is a group full of writers and readers, and some of those writers call themselves aspiring writers. There's no such thing as aspiring writer. You kind of are or you're not. There are people out there struggling and self-publishing their stuff, and I did that for the first two, and it's hard. And you don't get picked up and you get rejected, and it's not because your books aren't good enough either. It's just because, you know, this is an industry that's extremely difficult. So don't ever stop. You know, 6 years ago, I still had a job that I loved, but I was, you know, it was all a dream, and you never know. My life's completely different. So if you are writing and it's kind of you know, you share a dream, then just keep on with it, keep working. It's fantastic.
Donna said the police's loss was absolutely our gain, which how lovely is that?
Well, I told them the same thing on my exit interview, and they didn't care. So I'm sure I'm sorely missed. And sometimes it's bizarre. You know, I used to drive. I was advanced driver and a team's medic and all those sorts of things, and you know, quite specialist. Again, I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but I don't mean to. But you know, the day you switch off the radio is the day that you make a decision not to be involved in that, not to help, not to be part of the solution sometimes. And it still hurts sometimes when a siren goes past, and it's probably a rubbish call because most of them are, but it could be someone that those coppers are really helping out. And I kind of miss being part of that, without sounding too cliche. But generally, you know, I'm absolutely dreaming and very, very happy. And thank you, that's a lovely comment.
It is a lovely comment, and she's not wrong. And I've literally just had a private message from Kaz as well saying, bloody ace interview, one of my new faves of all time, and we're not even done yet. We do have little conversations about our favourites.
We'll have to stop there. We're going to go downhill, aren't
we? We have got less than 2 minutes left. Let's have a quick look at I know I've missed some. I'm really sorry for any comments and questions that I've missed because there have been absolutely loads. It's literally just been a scrolling thing. You haven't seen it. I've just remembered you haven't seen all of this. So down the right-hand side of my screen, I can see all of the comments. There's been loads. It's like literally bumping itself up all the time. It's doing it again now. So let me just read a couple of these out and then get your book covers ready, show off whatever you've got. Okay. You get those and I'll read them to you. Go on, we'll do it at the same time. Kaz likes teasing me about Manchester. Yeah, thank you. Right, let's go. That looks heavy. Joe Singleton, thank you both for a great interview. Very interesting and informative. Steve, great interview, Sam, as always. Oh, thank you, Steve. Many thanks to Leslie Lloyd for recommending the friend. I knew it was Leslie. Always good to find a new writer. Charlie, good hearing about your writing. We'll be reading your books. And he's already read and loved The Friend, so that's always good.
Oh, that's fantastic.
We've got really enjoyed the interview. Thank you. I can't see who all of these are from. But yeah, it's been brilliant and everybody loved it, which is always nice. So they're going to repay the kindness of your interview by buying books, which is lovely.
Please,
those
yes.
People have said it. Go on, show us the books, and then we'll have to be done. Otherwise, we'll be here all night.
Well, I'm doing it. Just I'm sure from all of us writers, just to thank you so much to the people that do read them, and the lovely comments as well, and the people that support us and watch and send us questions. Bodily Harm is the first one in the George Elms. This is going to go on. Hang on.
No, it's okay.
Blood Money, third in that series. And then Endgame was the fourth. And then one of my favourites, I call that, Listen, was the fifth. And Then She Ran, which is still no, it's not actually, second best-selling. This one's the best-selling I've got out so far. I think we're about 90,000 copies now. So that's been fantastic.
Wow. Congratulations, that's incredible.
Yeah, it does feel. Ruthless was a standalone, but there's a story. I'll tell you about that later. Very special to me, that book.
You're going to have to come back to that. Tell me about Ruthless. Go on, quickly. Go on.
My uncle Jesse Hart passed away in hospital 4 years ago, I think. And when we were emptying his flat, myself and my dad, obviously his brother, we found that he had started writing a book. I had no idea. I was gutted because I'd love to talk to him about it. He was very special to all of us. And I took the characters, stole the characters that he started. He wrote about two men on a bench, two drunks on a bench, and they both appear in the full length of Ruthless. I used the characters and the names.
I love that.
And in the middle, the dedication is dedicated and inspired to Michael Dodd, and he's my uncle, so who had this dream first, is what it reads. Which so that's very special.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
made me go a little bit misty-eyed there. Carry on.
And a very talented writer. None of us knew. Gutted. I'd love to talk to him about it. He Will Kill You was the second one of Maddie Eyes. He Knows Your Secrets is the third. And another one called Precisely, and very much one of my favourites. He Will Get You, my favourite serial killer one. I can say that of mine. Again, I'm blowing my own trumpet. He Will Find You. And then The Deadly Houses, which was the last in the Maddie Eyes. I'm gradually building a 40. I'm going to get behind it. And then obviously the Friends,
which I am absolutely going to go back to the second I hit stop on this.
Lovely. And please let me know how you got with it, unless it's bad, and that in which case it'll get very awkward.
Well, thank you so much. So thank you to everyone who's watched, asked questions, giving you lovely compliments, which is always nice. Thank you for joining me on a Friday night.
No problem at all. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Definitely do it again.
Absolutely. And Kaz gets you next time, which I'm spewing about. I'm not happy.
Lovely. I look forward to that.
I'm going to regret using the word spewing for the rest of my days. Mancunian. It's the Mancunian in me. It's not good. We've got loads and loads. Oh, somebody's just put, and I can't see who it is now because I can't refresh it quickly enough. Selena, wow, thank you for sharing that. I just think what a lovely way to end.
Yes, I probably should have expanded on that earlier. Yeah, well, thanks very much. And it was a special thing for the family as well. So that was, just a nice. I didn't do it for that reason. It was because his characters got published, and I love that as a thought.
I love that. I just think it's beautiful
as well. Yeah, handwritten book as well. I mean, like in a notebook, and he had a clear talent as well. So, we lost the talent there, and we didn't even know.
And on that note, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.